Hi, Jay.
Good evening, sir. How are
Good
you?
evening. Good, thank you. How are you?
I am good, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. So, briefing about the podcast interview, we will be
Yeah.
starting with the general round and then we will be heading towards the fun rapid fire round. The general
Okay.
round has 7 questions and rapid fire also has 7 to 8 questions.
Okay.
Okay, so with your permission, shall we start?
Please. Please.
Okay. So, first of all, a warm welcome from Inside Design and we are really glad to have you. Thank you so much for taking out time from your busy schedule.
Pleasure.
And starting
Thanks.
with the first question, from studying literature and law to being an actor and director, how has the journey been and what were the crucial stages?
Ah, well, you know, acting is something that has been constant in my life. The medium might have changed, but I've been in theatre ever since I can remember. Class 10 in school, I think. And I wasn't really working towards becoming an actor. All my life has been a part of being an actor. I came into films totally by accident. I always rejected films actually, and I was very keen on just doing theatre. But in '95, I did a bunch of 6 films, including Kama Sutra, Fire, etc. And I said, बहुत हो गया इस जिंदगी के लिए, बहुत हो गया, finished. And then again in 2007, I think No One Killed Jessica was made. Or I think it was 2010. Ever since I have done quite a few films, about 2 or 3 films every year. So that has been very, very prolific. And I'm very fortunate that now Hindi films look at real actors for characters. And therefore, the casting directors are looking beyond just Bombay and the film industry.
Okay, sir, beautifully answered, sir. And
Thank
moving
you.
forward, we all are really a great admirer of your work, and we have heard you always talk about following your bliss. And as you are here, we would all be delighted if you could share your wisdom upon this with an interesting story with our audience.
Um, it is about hearing your inside voice, really, and coming to terms with that. So, while in advertising, for instance, I used to say, yeah, fair enough. I know why I'm in advertising. I am because I want to make money and make a future for my family or whatever. But I needed my own sense of truth. A form of meeting and coming to terms with my own place and finding it. So I got into stuff which I think other advertisers would turn away from, but stuff which interested me. Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Jago Grahak Jago. Now that's a campaign which I really feel has been able to make a difference in the immediate life that we are living. And that to me is following my bliss. If I made a film for the UN and the NHRC on child abuse, it's not enough to just make that film, but to convert it to something. So we forced them on Child Line 1098. And only when that was possible did one say, yeah, great, I've done something.
Indeed. And yes, sir, we all are really curious to know the story behind the child line. And also, I think you are probably one of the only actor who has filed 2 patents with a CSR firm named Enable. And we would all love if you could share the story behind the firm and the child line.
These are 3 different stories actually.
Yeah.
Childline was, I was consulting with UNICEF. And UNICEF was, I was making films on the status of the girl child when UNICEF and National Human Rights Commission decided that a film on child abuse would be made. The film was made, it was approved, but it didn't have any action line at the end. And in search of that action line, we went about creating this whole business of the child line. And thereafter, the NGOs took it forward. In the, now 25 years of child line, there have been lots of convictions, not just children phoning in, but convictions, which is very satisfying. As for my patents, when I came into CSR advisory, I realized that nobody had the time to look at me. हमने क्या किया है जिंदगी में? How does it matter to anyone? But we felt that if we can do something which can benefit more people and use the technology of understanding, then let's see if we can. So we went about working with trying to build a toilet for ladies. Now, as it is, we all know, and the Prime Minister has made it evidently clear that there is a huge lack for toilets. But I had this fixed image in my mind. We were traveling on this journey called Hands Across the Borders. And I had with me the eminent actor Sunil Dutt Sahab. And it was after dark. We were driving through some part of India, northern India. And in the headlights, there were women who were standing. As we went past, and Dutt Sahab said to me, "Yaar Bengali," he used to call me that. "Ye itne sex workers?" I thought to myself that it was strange that Dutt Sahab didn't know this. I said, "These are just women who are using the darkness, waiting for our headlights to pass so they could carry on with their work." But that image made a telling impression on my mind. So I decided to try and make something that could only be for women. How would you make something that was only for women? Because if you give them a lock and a key, chabi to aur koi le jayega. If you give them a combination, husband might take the combination. So the only way possible was through the retina. So the retinal scan would go up to the Aadhaar cloud, get an approval, and come down, and the solenoid would open. All within about 23 seconds on a cloudy day. Once we made that proof of concept, suddenly we were recognized in places and invited to places that were of importance, a CII convention on sanitation, and they decided. Just about then, the Prime Minister came around, 2014, and started talking about the revolution that was cleanliness. And in that sanitation revolution, we got to make many toilets, 45 in all actually, especially in girls' schools in various parts of India. As a result, they are still there and being used by girls. So that is gratifying. While into this whole sanitation, the heart was yearning for something more. So I went into trying to build something for healthcare. And the second patent was on that, which is people would go out to villages where doctors, because 80% of our country, 73% upwards, lives in the villages. And 80% of the doctors lives in the cities. Because those who are getting their medical certification from city colleges don't want to go back to their villages. As a result, that remains an underserved population. So this was an attempt to bring about some kind of parity, and through a very, very handy portable device that could do 16 different tests, we would do the tests and put it up in the cloud so that they could bring it down anytime they wanted. So those are the two patents.
Indeed,
And absolutely born out of necessity.
yeah.
Sorry.
Indeed, a beautiful journey, sir. I think this will enlighten a lot of youth to come forward and work for the society. And
Thank
moving
you,
forward with the interview, sir, our next question is, in today's time, the preferences of Indian audience is gradually changing. We all have started to enjoy OTT content at a very large extent. And as you are from theatre and have worked so many years in theatre, we want to ask you how theatre firms are coping with the same and how different is the content.
You know, in 92, when television got liberalized, and from one sleepy Doordarshan channel, we became many channels, everybody said that theatre was going to get adversely affected. Unfortunately, for 2000 years, people have been saying theatre is dying. But it's still dying, it's still there, thank you, and still surviving. So, OTT is a whole different journey. As luck would have it, the entire popularization of OTT in these last few months, last 7-8 months when we've all been locked in, has been tremendous. So much so that even films are looking at OTT to release without going through the multiple city launches and various other paraphernalia. Instead of that, it's just given to one platform and it runs from there. So OTT is a huge innovation to be in our times. And the content is now getting more and more exciting. I've myself done a few, 5 or 6, and had great fun because the actor has a lot more time than the feature film, where you have a little lesser time to expose your character. On OTT, you have that little much more time. I think, yeah, sure, it is going to affect in some ways, but theatre will continue, as it always has.
So, sir, beautifully answered. And also, sir, one thing to tell, I personally am a big fan of your storytelling art. And as you are here, I don't want to miss the chance and ask you for a small request. If you could share a funny story from any of from your journey with our audience, which might tickle their funny bone.
My God. There are so many, and when you want to remember one particular one, it's almost impossible. Well, when you're very tired and you would just like to find the next rock and crash out on it, I was coming back from Gomukh. Gomukh is the source of the Ganga, and in Uttarakhand. And it's 14 kilometers ahead of Gangotri. And I had just joined an advertising agency, O&M, Ogilvy and Mehta. And I was to meet my boss in Modi Nagar to get a brief from Mr. V.K. Modi, who was then the managing director of Modi Continental Tires. Buses don't listen to your own time. So this is way back in 85. So that is 35 years ago. And I missed a bus. As a result, I lost out on one full day. But I had to be back on a certain time. And I wasn't going to miss the opportunity of making it to Gomukh. So I did get to Gomukh, but I had to walk practically the whole night to somehow make it back to get onto the bus to meet my boss in Modinagar. I was walking through the night and I was just ready to drop off. When, strangely, I met this man who had no business to be there in the middle of the night. But I asked him how much longer to Gangotri and the bus stand. And he said, "Idhar hi to, aa hi gaye aap." It must have been about 3-4 kilometers short of aa hi gaye. But just meeting that man who gave me that courage to keep walking made me trudge through the last few miles so that I could make it to the bus and to Modinagar on time.
Indeed, it was a great story, sir. And now moving forward, if we talk about OTT, cinema, social work, or theatre, one name which is common is Mr. Avijit, sir. And we all wanted to ask you and know from you what are the advice and what are the learning experiences which you want to share from the challenges and difficulties you have faced.
Truth be told, I have been very fortunate in not facing too many challenges. I guess you don't see it as a challenge when it's over, you know.
Yes.
When you're going through the process, it's like when you're on a trek, it's very difficult. But when you look back at it, you only see the joy of it. Similarly, I don't think I've had too many problems. Pursuing so many different things, I've been very fortunate in managing to make a difference and getting by on my own terms, which is incredibly fortunate.
You have worked so many years in the theatre and you have grown throughout the journey. So, in relation to students, what are the particular aspects in life which one should always work upon and build?
You are ultimately responsible for your space. To quote Bertolt Brecht, get up, pull yourself up by your hair, and take control of it. Every challenge that you face is a little hillock when you look back on it. Go for it and keep going with what you believe in. Your belief is more important and your faith in it. And this life will amaze you and surprise you. Thanks.
It was a great advice, sir. And this marks the end of our general round. With all your permission, can we start the rapid fire round?
Surely.
Okay. So you have to answer these questions in a very brief and in a very fast manner. So first question is, best and worst thing of being where you are today?
The best thing is that I can give advice like this, and the worst thing is I don't know what's ahead of me.
And one advice or decision which changed your whole life?
Never stop trying. When you think it's late night and you've had enough, try one more time. That's when it really cracks it.
That's pretty great. And our third question is, how would you quote your journey till now in 3 words?
Challenging, invigorating, exciting.
And our fourth rapid fire question is, people in the industry you look forward to work with?
You know, I wanted to work with Mr. Bachchan. I've done that in Piku. I wanted to work with Mr. Rajnikant. I've done that in Robo 2. Whoever, I think. So I look forward to working with whoever gives me a great time on the floor.
Our next rapid fire question will be, if given a choice, would you rather do theatre for your rest of your life or movies or OTT? I think the answer is pretty obvious. Theatre you would choose.
Yes.
I wrote it, but from the very start, you told that you will be doing theatre. So,
Thank you,
okay.
Jay.
Our next question is one thing you regret not doing in your teenage.
Um, I didn't trek too much out of Himachal. I did trek in Uttarakhand and Himachal, but not enough in Kashmir. So that is a bit of a regret.
Okay. And our next question is your top three favorite movies of all time.
Ooh, of course, Pather Panchali,
Okay.
uh, Mr. Satyajit Ray's. Mr. Ray's Charulata. Um, Charulata or Nayak, one of these two. And wow. And Bergman's Seventh Seal.
Yeah. We will just make a note of it and would refer it to other people as well. And our last rapid fire question is what makes you the Avijit Dutt?
My life and the way I've come to terms with it.
Amazing, sir, amazing. It was really a delightful interview, sir. And
Thank you.
towards the end of the interview, we just wanted to know if what as a mentor advices you would like to give to the students out there, as most of our audience is students. So what are the advices and what are the things you would like to tell them?
In the quiet of the night, challenge yourself. In the din of the day, stand up for your beliefs. When you're looking back on the day in the evening, just recount what were the moments when you surprised yourself. And all the very best.